Thank you so much. It is an honor for me to be here today. And the type of adaptability that I want to talk today about is the one that happens from within. The adaptability that is an inside job, and the one that invites us to transform our mindset as Latinos and Latinas to embrace the bigger and better opportunities that are showing up for us today, and even better, to pursue, to go after, to create those opportunities for us with self-confidence. So I will be talking about the cultural mindsets, particularly the limiting cultural beliefs. And what happens is when immigrants like me, I'm from Argentina, or immigrants from anywhere in Latin America come here to the US, the first world economy, we come with a certain way of seeing the world. We come with certain lenses. And we believe that who we are is this person. And we have a predetermined mindset about what is possible for us to achieve in our lives in the US. And many times we hold ourselves back. And these cultural limiting beliefs are passed from one generation to another. It goes one after the other. So that's why I wanted to bring this topic that to me is extremely fascinating and I have been researching in the last years. And now I'm putting all together in my upcoming book, Uncolonized Latinas. So as I tell my story, I will sprinkle it with some of these cultural limiting beliefs that came to my awareness, and I hope will inspire you as well. So my story starts in a small rural town in Argentina called General Belgrano. It was a town of unpaved streets, and you can imagine cows and dogs walking outside of my house. That was my childhood. That was my reality. My father did not have the opportunity to go to high school. He had to start working at 11, and my mom went to high school, but it was impossible for her to go to college. It was just not what women did back then. But since I was very young and I was doing really well at school, I became the hope for my parents that I would one day be the one to go to college and move to Buenos Aires. Even though they didn't know how to, and this is something that I honor about my parents, they didn't know how they would pay for that, but they held the dream. They didn't set limits for that. And they always believed that I could make it happen, no matter what. So with that confidence in my back, coming from my parents, at the age of 18, I moved to Buenos Aires, started to work full-time, and went to college at the same time to pay for my education. So, and that's when now I can see now, I didn't see that back then, but now I can see that I encounter my first cultural limiting belief, lack. So when you feel lacking, you feel that you're not good enough, that you're not as prepared as others. And I could see those kids from high schools, the best high schools in Buenos Aires, sitting next to me, and I felt small, right? So lack becomes a problem when you start holding yourself back because you shy away from opportunities. You stop speaking up. You stop bringing yourself fully in 100%. And the way to cope with that lack that I felt inside was to work harder. So adrenaline, push through, work harder, study more. So I started to work for PricewaterhouseCoopers, for Procter & Gamble, and I felt my lack. And as first generation to go into those spaces, corporate, I didn't know even how to dress for corporate. So going into those spaces as the first one in the family, as you know, is very hard. And that's when all these, limiting cultural beliefs get stronger because you have no one in your house that can really say, yeah, you're doing the right thing, or you're going, it's working out. Or internally, you may ask yourself, why me? And do I have what it takes to succeed? So time moved on, I got married, and an opportunity came to come to the US for an MBA. And I felt my lack. I said, I'm not sure I will be successful. I don't know. But my husband and I came here, we applied, we came to the Tax School of Business at Dartmouth. We graduated, I worked for Citibank, my summer was in McKinsey, went to Reckitt Benckiser. And that's when I encountered my second cultural limiting belief, unworthiness. Unworthiness is very unconscious and it's tricky. That's why it's so pervasive. So I will give you some examples of how that unworthiness showed up in my life. I went 7 years without asking for a salary increase. I told myself, I don't know how to negotiate. I don't know how to do this. But internally, deep inside, I felt unworthy, right? I never asked for sponsors or mentors. I felt that I had to be thankful to be allowed to live in this country, even once I had the US passport and the citizenship. And I worked really hard to prove everybody that they had made the right decision to hire me because I felt unworthy, not deserving of the space that I had. So in 2016, the pushing through, the working hard, and the adrenaline ran out, and I burnt out. I had to quit my job because I was mentally and physically exhausted, and that was a major blessing. So what happened in that time of silence and introspection was that I encountered again the person that I had disconnected most from, myself. And in that space, I started to see how I had held myself back, and I started to become more conscious about these patterns running me. And I became fascinated about studying them and researching them. So let me share one quote from Carl Jung that says, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." So that was my first real adaptability. Be aware of what's running me and embrace also those voices of limitation. Don't push them away. Love everything, including those voices that tell you that you are not good enough. When you love them, they start to dissolve. The second part of this coming back in a different way was to honor myself. When I started to honor myself and started to like who I am, my lack became resourcefulness. I started to think differently about myself. I started to have more positive images and thoughts about who I am. That's how I measured that I was making progress. My mindset started to change. My inner dialogue started to change. And lack became resourcefulness. I went into the world looking for opportunities, knowing that I could figure that out. No matter what, I could figure things out. And my unworthiness became placing myself first, always. So asking for what I need, going after, salary increases, asking for that money. I deserve that. And it's a way to put myself first, advocating for myself. And the third part, so becoming aware of my limiting pattern was big. Honoring myself and taking action from that place of embracing who I am was extremely important, but that's not enough. I discovered a third major pillar that I believe we have untapped. It's untapped for us as a community, and it's working together. I feel that as Latinos, we have not yet, and I will use that word, not yet, united. We have colorism within the community. We have competition, accent, no accent, born in the US, born abroad, cultural backgrounds, education. And we have a huge opportunity if we want to turn around those statistics that show that we are not in leadership positions yet. We need to work together to really accept other Latinos, to elevate other people. So here's my invitation for you. Become more aware of what's running you, number one. Start liking who you are. Spend more time with yourself. Start loving you more, right? And the third one, please, today, help another Latino. Provide advice. Tell somebody in the Latino community they are doing great. Support that person. We really need that as a collective to transform ourselves, because that's the way we're going to create the future in this country. So I will leave you with another quote, and this is from a writer from Argentina, José Hernández Martín Fierro. Los hermanos sean unidos porque esa es la ley primera. Si entre ellos se pelean, los devoran los de afuera. In English, it would be, let brothers and sisters, I will add that, be united, because if they compete with themselves, the outsiders will devour them. So do the inner work. We need each one of us to do the inner work, and the results will show in our collective, in our new collective as Latinos. Thank you so much for this time. It's been an honor. Happy Heritage Month.